get ready for a quick quest guide for the Throne of Miscellania Quest, in which the main rewards for completing are access to Miscellanea Management, the ability to teleport to Miscellanea using a Ring of Wealth, and 1 quest point. You'll need to have completed both the Fremennik Trials and the Hero's Quest before taking on this one, and additionally there are no skill requirements. This being said, having 10 farming and 35 Herblore will greatly help in allowing you to gain Favour much faster during this quest. For items, you'll need 1 iron bar, 1 gold ring, some regular logs, and additionally either a rake if you have level 10 farming, or alternatively the best pickaxe you can use. You can also just bring a pickaxe along anyway if you want the option to gain Favour by mining. When it comes to recommended items, you'll want 15 coins to buy some flowers, as well as weight reducing clothing and 2 stamina potions to help with the running around. Then if you want to marry or befriend the prince, you'll want a cake or chocolate cake, or if you alternatively want to marry or befriend the princess, you'll want a basic bow that you're willing to lose. For example, a standard or oak shortbow. Note that you can befriend or marry either, regardless of whether your character's a guy or girl. When it comes to teleports, you'll want a method for getting to the quest start in Miscellanea. If you've completed a Fairy Tale Part 2, then you'll want any teleport to a fairy ring, for example a South Graveyard teleport. And if using this method, then ensure that you also bring along your drum and staff. Otherwise, you'll need to take a boat to Miscellania from Relica, and I'll pop some teleport options to Relica on screen. Finally, I'd also suggest having 1 teleport to anywhere for after the quest is completed. Now we'll begin this quest in the courtyard of Miscellania Castle. Provided you've completed a Fairy Tale Part 2, then the easiest way to get here is to travel to any fairy ring, for example by using a South Graveyard teleport and running northeast, before then using it to travel to the CIP fairy ring code. After arriving in Miscellania, run a little south and slightly east before turning and going west into the castle courtyard. Alternatively, you'll want to make your way to the middle dock in northern Relica, and I'll showcase a map with a range of travel options for getting there on screen now. After arriving at the dock, select Miscellania on the sailor next to the large boat to travel to Miscellania. And from the Miscellania docks, run west a decent ways and a little bit north into the castle courtyard. After arriving in the courtyard, locate the flower girl with a red top roaming around in it and talk to her. And after some chatter, say yes please to purchase some mixed flowers for 15 coins. Next, run west into the castle and then climb up the northern or southern staircase, before then making your way to the middle room and attempting to open the throne room door. The guard will stop you, but after a short chat, provided you've completed the hero's quest, you'll be allowed through. Enter into the large room and talk to King Vargas. Continue through the chat with him before selecting yes to start the Throne of Miscellania quest and go through the chat. When more chat options appear, choose whichever match your plans for the quest. So if you want to befriend or marry the prince, say, I want to earn Prince Bran's approval. Or alternatively, if you want to befriend or marry the princess, say, I want to earn Princess Astrid's approval. And then continue through the rest of the chat. Note that if you accidentally picked the wrong one, then you can just speak to King Vargas again to switch. Now we're going to follow the path of winning over the princess, but I'll pop instructions for the prince up on screen now, so follow these directions if you're going down the prince route. Note that the prince is located in the room directly south of the one that you're in. For those wooing the princess, make your way to a room directly north of the one that you're in and then talk to her and go through the chat. When the chat finishes, talk to her again 3 more times, and each time you'll need to select a specific response. While the response answers remain the same, where they appear in the chat options as well as what order the responses appear in are random for everyone. So again, the answers can appear in any order and be any dialogue option. And I'll pop the correct answers up on screen. So in any order, you'll need to answer with ha ha ha. He's been very helpful, and additionally, archery is a noble art. After you've answered all 3 of the questions, you'll want to use your flowers on the princess and then select yes to give them to her. Once you've done this, then use the dance emote in her room and continue through the dialogue that pops up. Now talk to the princess and go through the chat with her. Following this, continue talking to the princess repeatedly, and like before, you'll get a range of chat options that have a correct response, but which can appear in any order and be any dialogue option. I'll pop the correct answers up on screen, and they include, "That sounds like a good idea. What happened next?" as well as, "I'm quite fond of it myself." Keep talking to her and selecting the correct answers, but eventually you'll get to a point where she simply says, "Good day to you," and the chat finishes. When this occurs, use your bow on her and select yes to give it to her and continue through the chat. After this, use the blow kiss emote and continue through the dialogue. Following this, talk to her again and go through the chat. Now just like before, talk to the princess repeatedly. And once again, you'll get chat options that have a correct response, but which could appear in any order and be any dialogue option. I'll pop the correct answers up on screen, and they include, "And what a great bard he makes. I suppose you don't have much opportunity to," and "It's a lovely little country." After this, when you chat to the princess again, she should call you dear, but the conversation won't really progress. Now select to blow a kiss once again to her and go through the dialogue, and afterwards use your gold ring on her and then select yes to give it to her. And afterwards select either yes or no depending on if you want to marry her or not. It doesn't matter which you choose, as the quest will progress the same, and then finish off the chat. Once you've won over the princess or prince, then you'll want to climb down either staircase in the castle and return back outside to the courtyard, before going east to the farming patches just beyond the castle gates. Note that if you're under 10 farming, then you'll want to skip all of the weed raking parts. Now, provided you have at least 10 farming, you'll want to rake the flax patch. And if you also have at least 35 herblore, then rake the herb patch as well to start boosting your miscellanea approval rating. And once you've done this, drop the weeds and then run northeast and then further east all the way to Etseteria, crossing the bridge and continuing into the castle, before then going to the most southern room and climbing up the staircase. Then head into the bedroom to your north and chat to Queen Sigrid inside before continuing through the dialogue with her. After it ends, climb back down the staircase and then run a long ways west out of the castle and across the bridge, before heading southwest back to the farming patches. Here, just like before, take a moment to clear both the flax and the herb patches of weeds to boost your approval rating before dropping the weeds. And afterwards head west and go back into the castle before climbing either staircase and returning to King Vargas in the middle room. Talk to the king and continue through the dialogue until more chat options appear, and then click off from the chat. Now head down either of the stairs and then run east and return back to the farming patches, where once again you'll want to take a moment to rake all of the weeds to boost your approval rating, before then dropping the weeds that you raked. Following this, run northeast and then further east all the way to Etseteria, crossing the bridge and continuing into the castle, before then going to the most southern room and climbing up the staircase. Then head into the bedroom to your north and chat to Queen Sigrid inside before again continuing through the dialogue with her. When the chat finishes, climb back down the staircase south and then run a long ways west back out of the castle and across the bridge before heading southwest back to the farming patches. Here, just like before, take a moment to clear both the flax and herb patch of weeds to boost your approval rating before dropping the weeds. And afterwards head west and go back into the castle before climbing up the southern staircase. Now go into Prince Bran's room to your northwest and then talk to the prince and go through the chat with him to be handed an awful anthem piece of paper. Once you have the anthem, go into the room to your north, and then chat to Advisor Grimm in the southwestern corner of the room. And when chat options appear, just click off from the chat to turn your awful anthem into a good one. Now head down either of the stairs and exit the castle, and then run east and head back to the farming patches, where once again you'll want to take a moment to rake all of the weeds to boost your approval rating before dropping the weeds that you raked. Following this, run northeast and then further east all the way to Etseteria, crossing the bridge and continuing into the castle, before then going to the most southern room and climbing up the staircase. Then head into the bedroom to your north and talk to Queen Sigrid inside before again continuing through the chat with her, after which you'll obtain a treaty that she signed. Next, climb back down the staircase south and then run a long ways west back out of the castle and across the bridge, before heading southwest back to the farming patches. Here, just like before, take a moment to clear both the flax and herbs patch of weeds to boost your approval rating before dropping the weeds. And afterwards head west and go back into the castle before climbing up the southern staircase. Now go to the large middle room and chat to King Vargas, whereby you'll hand over the treaty. Then when chat options appear, just click off from the chat. Now head down either of the stairs and exit the castle, and then run east and return back to the farming patches, where once again you'll want to take a moment to rake all of the weeds to boost your approval rating before then dropping the weeds that you raked. Following this, run north and a little bit east to the building with the anvil symbol in it, and then head inside of it, whereby you'll find Derek. Talk to Derek and then say, "I have a slightly strange request," and then continue through the rest of the chat to obtain a giant nib. Then use the giant nib on the logs in your inventory to create a giant pen. Giant pen obtained, run southwest back to the castle before entering into it and going up either of the staircases. Then head back to King Vargas in the large central room and talk to him, where he tells you that you need to gain the kingdom's support. When chat options appear, just click off from the chat. If you want to check your current approval rating, then talk to Advisor Grim and then ask, "How do I gain the support of the population?" before seeing what percentage of the population supports you. Currently for me, this was 58%, and it was only this high because of all the weeds that we raked. If you also raked weeds, then your approval rating should be similar. You'll need to get this to 75% to complete the quest, but you might want to get it to 100% to also complete a Fremennik Hard diary task. Now head down either of the stairs and then run east and return back to the farming patches, where once again you'll want to take a moment to rake all of the weeds to boost your approval rating before then dropping the weeds that you raked. You can continue raking weeds as they respawn until you hit either 75 or 100% approval, with you gaining around 1% approval per weed that you rake. However, if you're below 10 farming and unable to rake weeds, or if you just prefer mining, then you'll want to head north to the mining location and mine coal to boost your approval, with each coal mined giving you around 0.75% approval. Note that you won't get any indication that you've hit 75% approval, but the diary task completion will tell you when you hit 100%. Plus, you'll be unable to help the kingdom more after your approval reaches 100%. Once you have at least 75% approval, or potentially 100% if you want to complete the diary task, you'll then want to return back to the Miscellania Castle and climb up either staircase in it before heading to the middle room. Here, talk to King Vargas and go through the chat with him and the advisor before BAM! Quest complete. You'll be awarded access to Miscellania Management, the ability to teleport to Miscellania using a Ring of Wealth, and 1 quest point. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you in the next quest.